All right, today we're going to walk through freezing your credit. This has been something we've seen a lot of fraud happening with unemployment benefits and credit, just all of these things. And we want to be sure that there are things that you're able to do to stop this from happening and even just to further protect you. So, freezing your credit is something that's great to do. So, we're actually going to walk you through how to do that. Trevor is going to walk me through how to do it because I've never done it. And yeah, I'll let Trevor take it away.
Good deal. Thanks, Michelle. So, yeah, really where we want to start, we're going to make sure that you have access to this link, but you should see on your page right now that we're an FTC website. So you're always looking for consumer.ftc.gov. This is actually a really useful website for a variety of information. It's straight from the source, so you don't have to worry about, what's that author's bias when they're, trying to present articles, or they want you to go to this site so they get a, money making scheme from it or whatsoever. This is strict to the point. It's a really great site. We would recommend that you use it. So specifically for this page, we're actually looking at how to walk through the actual credit freeze application. So if we scroll down a little bit here, Michelle, actually I have control. So I'll go ahead and control your screen, and we'll let you control when you need to enter some information. So if we scroll down the screen here a little bit, kind of walks through what a credit freeze really is. In short form, if you look back to 2018, there was the Equifax breach, which caused a lot of uproar, rightfully so, for the credit bureaus, because so many people had their information effectively stolen and used against them. Because of that issue that happened, Congress passed a law back in 2018 that actually made it free for any person, any consumer, to freeze their credit free of charge. Previously, there could have been a fee up to about $10 for each bureau. Now that's free, and since it's free and it's easy to do, we like to recommend that clients go ahead and freeze all their credit. So yeah, we kind of scroll through here the details of it. What we're going to scroll and look down for is right here. So this gray box. These three websites represent each of the three primary credit bureaus. So Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. These links all link directly to where we need to go freeze our credit. So I always like to work top down. So let's start with Equifax first. So I'm going to click on this Equifax link here. You'll get a message that says you're going to visit a site that's not the FTC website. That's okay. We're going to hit OK here and let it launch up.
Trevor, can you just remind everyone too that when they're doing their credit freeze, you can lift it if you're getting ready to close on a closing or something. You wouldn't want to do it right before then. So just a couple little things. But I know that information was there on that page too, so you can read through it. I just wanted to point out those two little things in case someone's getting ready to push the button, but they're closing on a refinance or something in the next week.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a great point, Michelle. Is the reason we need to unfreeze our credit or lift the freeze sometimes is, sometimes lenders do need to know what's in a credit report so they can qualify us for a particular loan. And when they're going to pull your credit during that part of the process, you're going to have to manually unfreeze your credit, but you can do it in a temporary fashion. So you can talk with the lender and say, hey, when are you going to pull my credit? Oh, it's going to be tomorrow. Okay, I'll temporarily unfreeze it for a week just to make sure everything's hunky-dory, and the credit bureau will automatically freeze it right after that period. So, but that's a great point. Thanks, Michelle. So yeah, as we start, we're looking at Equifax here. If we scroll down, thankfully Equifax makes it really simple, right? So we're looking at two options. You can either get your credit report. We don't need that right now. We're looking to do the freeze. So we're just going to click place a freeze. And from here on out, we're going to start filling out information. So I'm going to have Michelle enter the information that is applicable specifically for her. One thing to note is you're going to see some gray boxes or some, screening of data, and that's because this is actually Michelle's live data. So just so you're aware, is in case you see some boxes, we want to make sure we're being conscious with sensitive data.
Yeah, we wanted to show you what it looks like as we're doing it. So.
Exactly. It's also nice, Michelle, you're probably a quicker typer than I am, so it's better that you're doing this part anyway.
All right.
So we'll hit continue. All right, great. So it's very common that each of the credit bureaus will want you to create an account. That's okay to do, especially in my book, because it helps with being able to unfreeze and refreeze very quickly and easily, as opposed to going through a much longer process. So I think it's perfectly okay to go ahead and sign up for an account if you have one. And so this identity verification process may take a couple of different forms. In this case, it's sending an email. There may be another one that we're going to see here in just a second. So yeah, Michelle, if you want to go ahead and click yes, send me an email.
All right, so now I have my code.
Sure. All right,
Kind
so we'll hit continue.
of hidden a little bit down in that email in case you're having a hard time finding it.
Sure. Great, and then we can hit continue again. Waiting for it to load.
So this just protects someone in case someone was to try and apply for credit, apply for like unemployment benefits even, that their credit can't be pulled.
That's exactly right, right? So in other words, our data is at these credit bureaus, and it has all the information for any loan that we've ever had, all of our payment history information, whether we made the payment on time, how much our credit lines are. And that information is really valuable for various lenders and marketers. And when we lock it, when we freeze it, unfortunately, those vendors and those lenders can't access it to try to send us those offers anymore. But more importantly, it also means we can't open up a new account unless we have our credit file unfrozen. So this basically prevents against some of those identity theft issues where people are opening accounts erroneously in our name.
Yeah. All right, and then I just say place a freeze, click that.
Exactly, yeah. Okay, and I'll walk through process. We hit place freeze. Yeah, basically just saying, hey, here's exactly what happens. If there's a reminder on that third bullet is we do have to do this for each of the credit bureaus. So we're doing Equifax right now. And then, in just a second, we'll go back down to the list here and take the other two.
Okay, great.
So Equifax is done. What's really nice is that process is a whole lot more simple than it used to be. I do anticipate that we're going to see some security questions have to come up that we'll go through too. So I want to make sure you see some examples of what those might look like. Everyone's will be different, but it is a process of just getting those done. So yeah, in this case, if you'd like to, you can certainly save a confirmation of the PDF. I generally don't, but it's really up to you.
Okay. All right. So for this one, we'll say we're not going to, but then we'll go ahead and we just click here to do the next one.
Actually, no. So I would prefer, let's go back to that FTC link. I believe it's in the chat there for you, Michelle. If you want to click on that FTC link and we can go directly to that website, just because there's a slightly different page that it gets us right to where we need to.
Okay.
Okay, we scroll it down a little bit. All right, so Equifax was our first, and now we'll go to Experian. All right, great. So, yep, right on the front page on the right-hand side, there we go. And in this case, we're going to do add a security freeze, yeah. And we're going to freeze our own credit file.
This is interesting though. Here it has a minor. So if you have children, would you suggest that?
I do. So when you click on that minor link, what will happen is they're going to basically come up with a preformed letter. So it won't have any information, but when you do a minor's credit report, credit file, you actually have to do that via mail. Unfortunately, you can't do that one online. So that will be done through just regular mail, USPS, but sending the letter off and handling the process from that standpoint.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, and then you're answering some other questions here.
Okay.
Yeah, and for this choice, you can set your own PIN if you'd like. You don't have to. Just like a password, I do recommend that you keep your PINs in a secure storage location. So whether you want to set something or just have something randomly assigned to you and then email it to you, whichever route you prefer.
Okay.
All right, so these are the questions that I was anticipating with Equifax. Experian has actually launched them. So very likely, if you're watching this video, what you're going to see on your screen is all these answers are going to be grayed out. So all the questions will be showing, but the answers will be grayed out. Really what we're trying to do and what's happening is Experian in this case is looking at your credit file, and it's pulling some random information and saying, hey, based on your credit file, Michelle, here's some things that we think might be applicable for you. A couple things to note with these questions: it is not uncommon to have a answer that says none of the above or does not apply. So if in this case, question number 3, might show that result there for you, Michelle. But we can say that we can show that answer and say, hey, that it's completely okay if none of those answers actually apply. That's not something to be worried about or concerned about. Great. So an experience case, we're already done. That's the only step that we needed to do. So you can have them email your PIN, but it's right there if you want to jot it down as well. You can print it for your records the same way you did with Equifax. In this case, I don't think we absolutely need to, but I think that works. So so far we've gotten Equifax done, and now we've gotten Experian done. Now we just have one more of TransUnion to do. In the same way before, let's go ahead and go back to that FTC website.
Okay. Then I'm just scrolling down.
Mhm. All right, and in this case, instead of the right, it's going to be on the left. And we're going to add a freeze, yeah.
So just like we're freezing it, looks like the unfreeze option is pretty easily accessible too.
Yeah, it's very, very simple, especially when you have the account set up. So in Equifax's case, we set up an account there. We're probably going to set up an account here with TransUnion. Once we get logged into that account, unfreezing and refreezing or setting a temporary unfreeze, it's actually very simple to do. It's just logging into the account and following the appropriate prompts. And before we hit submit here, I'm going to have you change one thing, Michelle. So TransUnion is going to ask to add you onto their email newsletter. If you'd like to receive it, you can. I generally find it to be kind of overwhelming, so I always opt no for those answers. But ultimately, your choice. Just know that the default setting is yes, but you can change that to no.
There we go.
There we go. Okay. So yeah, just like Equifax, we can go ahead and create a username and password for TransUnion. All right, great. Okay, and here's where we have some of those identity verification questions again. Just as a reminder, yep, sometimes the none of the above or does not apply is a completely valid answer. Just answer them the best of your ability. All right, so we'll just verify identity. So if we click add freeze. Okay, and then, yep, we want to create a PIN.
So in the beginning, it was just having us set up the
Yeah, the TransUnion account. It looked like that going through the security verification didn't initially set the credit freeze.
okay.
So it is worthwhile. Just make sure you go through that final step just to be positive. So now we see at the top of the page, freeze has been added, and we also have a PIN, so that's great as well. So yeah, now let's try and take a look to see what if we wanted to temporarily unfreeze this. We're going to go for a loan refinance. We're going to go for a new car. open a credit card, any one of those things. So yeah, we click view my freeze status. And the thing I like to do here is I love the temporarily lift freeze button. So if we click on that one,
Hmm.
we get to say, okay, when do we want it to start and when do we want it to end? Now, a typical lender will always try and pull your credit as quick as they can. So, within a day, maybe the same day as today, when you know that they're going to pull your credit. I also like to, reapply it maybe a week, 2 weeks afterwards, when they're going to pull the credit, just in case they have to do it again, didn't go right the first time, something along those lines.
So we'll just set some dates here. So we
Yeah.
can process
So we
this.
just set some dates. We'll hit continue.
Okay.
Great. So yeah, it's been temporarily unfrozen with TransUnion. You just need to do the same thing with Experian or Equifax or. So it's really going to depend which bureaus the particular lender is going to pull. Generally speaking, for a loan for like a mortgage, they're going to want to look at all three. Auto loans maybe will just look at one or two, and typically credit card companies will only look at one. So once you know which credit bureau they're going to look at, you know which ones you need to unfreeze.
Great. Thank you, Trevor. This is helpful to see what it looks like and to see how easy it is. But it might take time to look up some of those questions if you don't know. So just take your time and work through it. And yeah, this is wonderful. This will be really helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And if anybody has any questions or is getting stuck in any particular area, please let us know. Reach out. We would absolutely love to help.